Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, episode number 4 of the God tier Assassin's Drain Contagion, Tankster, Trickster, thing like that, right? So, we've done cover quite a lot in the previous videos. Today, a lot of map showcase, or boss showcase, better said. This is going to be at the end of the video, so if you're only here to see the build in action, I've recorded a full Saros run, means Awakener 8, all the Conquerors, plus Saros. Then I've done an Owl, and then Uber Elder to pop it off. And that's about it, I think, for the map showcase or boss showcase, so you see how tanky and cool this build turned out. I would say I'm 97% where I wanna be with this build. So I currently have like 8 million Shaper DPS off the plant, 9 million. That's because some parts are still missing. Like one small cluster jewel over here. We need some more energy shield over there. What else was missing? I think something that gave me DPS. But I finished the wand now. I finished the shield. I finished the other parts that are missing. So overall, I would say 95% should be accurate on the current state of the build. All right, what we're going to talk about today, I think we covered helm, shield, boots, and gloves in last video, both rings, amulet, and the belt in the second video. Today we're going to talk about the wand, which is actually hilarious hard in crafting. So I initially planned to record all of the crafting process, right? But it took over 15 hours of getting all the crafts done to actually make this one. But I still wrote down this time the exact amount of currency that I spent to create this one. So the plan was to get dot multi on suffix, the +1 all spell skills, +1 chaos, T1 chaos dot multi, and malevolence aura effect for being the hunter modifier. So if we're gonna take a look at the write down on how I crafted this one. So basically, the easy explained is you have basically 3 ways to do that, right? The problem is if we say prefix and suffix, we have +1 all spells, +1 chaos, T1 chaos dot multi, and suffix we have malevolence, aura effect, T1 obviously. And then on the second suffix, it was the dot multi global, right? And then one craft, basically, right? So the problem is, the all spells is a caster modifier. The chaos is a caster modifier. No, it's actually a chaos modifier. The dot multi is a caster and chaos modifier. The T1 malevolence is a hunter modifier that cannot be rolled, basically, right? So you need to influence craft that. The dot multi is global, okay? That is not influence in the craft. So the main thing is you cannot force this one. This does not have a tag, right? Neither does the malevolence, and you have mixed chaos caster on all spells and the dot multi. So the first and hardest part is actually to get the dot multi with the +1 all spells, right? And this was the most expensive part to do, and there is actually 3 ways to do that. Way number 1, if we call it like that, would be chaos spamming for dot multi on the suffix, and then augment caster, add remove caster for +1 all spells. This is probably the chance 1 in 800 rerolls to hit this mod one single time, okay? So that is insanely hard. The way number 2 would be you're gonna like chaos alt spamming for +1 all spells, and then reforge, keep prefix, and hope that you get the dot multi on the suffix. But you're not allowed to have anything else there, like intelligence or something, otherwise you have to annul that, right? And the third way, I kind of forgot right now, but these are the 2 major ways to do it. And I decided to go with way number 1, even though it's like very unlikely to hit this add remove caster on the +1 all spells. But there is a lot more, a lot more add remove caster on the market than there is reforges with keep prefix, right? And that's why I decided to go with this one. And once this is done, the hard part is done, and you have the dot multi and the chaos, then you can basically add influence, add remove influence for the hunter modifier for malevolence, and then you go for only chaos reroll until you hit the T1 chaos dot multi, and then basically augment Chaos for the +1, and the other mods are mods that you can remove again. So if you're gonna take a look at the write down on these specific items, I have it somewhere. Beachhead, garden layout, let me check. Weapon craft. So in total, I did spend 362 exalts crafting this weapon. It all started off with base 1 for about 10 exalts. This is basically the hunter weapon, item level 86 with a craft or with the enchant on it, gilded, 3 white sockets, and hunter influence, right? Then I chaos spammed about 200 chaos to get the T1 multi cleaned off. That means I don't have any other suffixes that I could not clean, right? So saying like intelligence or anything else, right? So I divined that one, which is kind of useless because I had to divine it later on as well. But then I started, so we are down like maybe like not 11x to this part. So I did clean off the base. So the base was actually, I'm actually sure that it was no prefix. We had T1.multi, and then we had cold damage and fire damage. So I knew once I hit the +1 spell, I could remove cold and fire damage on that part, right? So then I did augment caster for the prefix, and then there is one part that you can do. You could do 3 times augment caster to block certain mods. That means if I have spell damage, or let's say lightning damage to spells would be 1, then you have like spell damage would be 1, and then you have like +1 fire skill gems would be 1, right? That would be triple prefix on augment caster. There is one problem, and this is the spell damage. Spell damage does have a caster tag, same as the +1 to all spell skill gems, right? The +1 fire I could remove with fire. The lightning damage to spells I could remove with lightning. But since I know that the +1 is that rare, and if I augment the +1 and there is spell damage on it, I have to use remove caster, and I could risk potentially deleting the +1 all spells, right? So I know this one would have been the faster way, and even if I fail the annual, I could still be faster getting it back. But what I did was just re-rolling one single caster modifier, and that permanently re-roll. So the thing is, I spent a total of 1,197 remove at caster for about 40,000 chaos on that part. That should be like, if we say is 40,000 divided by 160 is about 250 exalts to finish the +1 all spells. The problem was, at some point, at 561 add remove casters, I did hit it, okay? But the guy that rolled it, rolled over it. So he basically bricked my item. And I told him, like, hey, I just spent over 500 add remove caster, you just ruined my weapon, so we have to find a solution on that. Because in the end, if you ruin someone's item, you gotta take care of it and fix it, right? And the guy did not. So I was left alone with my weapon not being done. I had to start over again with the add remove caster, knowing that somebody else ruined my weapon with removing my +1 all spells and ruining 150 exalts that I paid until I get there. So I was like really pissed on that part, and since he was like really an asshole, I just have to say it like it is. Because he was like writing like, hey, if you want to make drama, then go for it, I don't give a fuck. Who cares about your wand, basically, right? So he was like really rude on top of that for ruining my weapon, right? So yeah, what I made sure is that he got banned out of TFT for being a non-trusted service provider. So he's removed from TFT, so he cannot like really break other people's items. You can make up your own decision about that, but that's basically it. So after 561, we hit it once, but I had to use another 636 add remove casters to hit it again, right? Yeah, that's it. So I spent another 100x for literally nothing and another 7 hours of crafting. Right, after 1,197 add remove casters to get the +1 spells, I prepared for the influence craft. Then I used 12 augments, 11 remove influence, and 32 add remove influence to get the T1 malevolence mod on top of that, while crafting cannot roll attack modifiers. Once this was done, I was divining to 40 and 18 effect, because these two stats are not targetable with Harvest. Then I was using 34 add remove chaos for the T1.multi. Then I divined it to 38, and then I used 5 augment chaos and the 5 removes, which is a total amount of 362.2 exalts to finish off this beautiful weapon. So one thing I want to note here, you might wonder, how was I actually able to get these two mods with the T1 Chaos.multi and the +1 Chaos? The thing is, once you're done with all of the other stuff with the T1.multi, there is only, and you craft basically, cannot roll attack modifiers. That basically means it blocks off 3 hunter modifiers, which is chaos damage to attacks, penetrate with this attack, with this weapon and stuff like that. So there's only 5 mods left, which is the +1 chaos, with this a chaos attack. Then you have, let's say, Fizz as extra chaos, then you have lightning, cold, and fire. Those are the 5 mods that you can hit. So I can remove Fizz with remove Fizz, I can remove the lightning as extra chaos, the cold, and the fire. So that's why we just spammed the add remove, like augment chaos if it was cold as extra chaos. Basically, we were using remove cold and then augment again, and after 5 tries we hit the +1 and the wand was done. That was a journey, like 15 hours of footage. I do want to apologize that I'm not bringing this crafting video, because first of all, after 8 hours of whispering people for add remove casters, I stopped recording because this is not the content that I want to bring. Neither do I have the time to finish or to edit a video that is basically 15 hours long, to bring it down to like 10 minutes. It's just so much work. It's something different if you say like, hey, let's just take 500 exalts and metacraft a weapon. This is like done in like 10 or 15 minutes until the 500x are gone. But just sitting in hideout asking people if I can buy their add remove caster modifiers, that was just hilarious on its, or would be hilarious on its own. All right, let's close this one. Don't need to save. So if we take a look at the rest of the items, right? So the Loath Barb is now done, approximately 375 exalt spent. The shield about 125, so everything is done. I also finished my medium cluster jewels. All of those 5 here do have chaos resistance, elemental resistance, brush of death, and student of decay, which cost me about 10 exalts a piece to reroll the life and the chaos modifiers to hit double T1 and the T1 on the life modifier. Then on the other part, there is 1 small cluster jewel still missing. I have now a Von Voices passive for about 400 exalts. My, yeah, like pretty much everything done, the gems. So the end price that I paid for the build is roughly 10 mirrors for the build, about 2,922 exalts. With the mirror to exalt exchange ratio of 1 to 289 exalts. So this is by far the most expensive build that I've ever played. But yet again, it's probably the most insane build as well, based on the defense and tankiness, overall construction of the build. I'm currently on like 8.5 million Essence Drain Contagion DPS with about 13 million Blight DPS on top. So once I'm stacking up everything, I'm probably gonna be over 20 million Chaos Dot damage, which is just insane. And there is going to be, before I'm going to show you all the map or the boss footage now, there is going to be one more video, which is going to be a full Delirium, max juice, 4 times winged scarabs, like the hardest thing that you can imagine with this character to finish up this entire series. And overall, I would say it was kind of exhausting to make this build. It's not, like, really, it's not about the exalts. I mean, yeah, 3,000 exalts to 3,000 exalts, right? It took me 2 months to actually farm this up and get everything done. But just the sheer amount of crafting in this build with all the small cluster jewels took me like 5 days on cluster jewels spamming alone. The one took me like 15 hours straight with over 1,200 add remove caster. It's like so in-depth and so intense in crafting that I'm actually happy that I can say I'm done with the build now. I could make it like 95% accurate on the POB, which is also linked this time in the description below, which is basically the dream POB, the 100% perfect character, and under that is actually the character that I have here with all the items socketed in that I crafted for this character. So, is there anything else that I need to mention? If you're wondering about the MTX, I'm using the Grand Sanctum hood, the Orion body armor, gloves, and boots, the white weapon, the Sin shield, the Arcane Halo with the Delirium Horns from last league, the Orion back attachment, the Dark Mage weapon effect, Stygian character effect, Stygian footprints, Orion portal effect, and then we have like all the Arcane essence, and that's pretty much it with the Stygian Flame Dash and the Harbinger Righteous Fire. For the Pantheons, currently using Solaris. I just did Uber Elder, so Soul of Yugol, otherwise it's Soul of Shakari. I did actually get everything. You know, I'm res capped, I have 75% block chance with ES block recovery, I have 100% chance to avoid stun, I have over 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments, I have a curse immunity flask, I have shit tons of DPS, I'm tanky as fuck, I'm having 14,000 energy shield on a low life build, so overall, this build is a success story on its own, although there were a lot of highs and downs, basically, or highs and lows, whatever. Up and downs, basically. But as I said, I'm super happy. I'm done with this build, so up for the next challenge. I'm going to sell everything of this character, and I would say I would move on. And as I said again, video number 5 of this build will be the full Juiced Delirium map that is coming out in roughly 2 days. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.
I have some good news.
Cast you into a pit of infinite torches.
Learn anything new?
Welcome! Time has no meaning here. Your pain will be endless. Away with you! The end of the cycle of madness.
Learn anything new?
Low on mana.
it back.
Did you really think this would work?
Cirrus, please, we want to help you. Don't do anything hasty.
Destroying you is as easy as flicking a pest.
No!
Stand up!
Kirak!
How boring and small. You want the Atlas? Take it. It's yours. But Orion?
Yes!
Orion.
Oh, I got it! Yes!
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. The others found strength in their projections. They became reliant on them. I am not so foolish. Die. Be silent.
something.